is considered the angel of the battlefield. Do people still think of the Red Cross like that, or do you focus more on other things?
I think probably people don't know that unless they read the history of Red Cross. But that's really how it got started, because so many soldiers were getting left in the battlefield after the war, and nobody was doing anything with them. They were just laying there. And one time she went to a battle scene, and there was 3 days, and they were still just laying there. They'd been laying there 3, and they were still alive, some of them. And she just couldn't handle that. And she just started helping people right then. And so that's the part why she got that title or name, you know, Angel of the Battlefield. And so you don't see that as much anymore, especially now, because most of the stuff that Red Cross does in a wartime or something like that will be more behind the scenes. They wouldn't actually run out into the battlefield, you know, and grab the person and run back. Those are medics, and those are army people that do that now, where they didn't have that back then. So.
That's
wonderful.
Is that it? Okay. Well, what made y'all choose Red Cross?
Our topic, like the big topic,
Yeah.
was pretty much anything.
Yeah.
It was turning point in history. So we thought the Red Cross was a really big turning point.
Yeah, and it was like at the turn of the century, right? From the 1800s to the 1900s.
So can you capture that? You didn't know that it's a turn of the century as well.
Yeah.
Really big.
Well, the biggest thing that Red Cross helped with, they did something in 1886, I think, in Texas. I think it was either 1886 or 1896. There was a big famine in Texas, and people were just dying. Farmers and all those people were dying in Texas, and the Red Cross came in to help food relief. And then the next big thing that happened in Texas that brought Red Cross here, and it's the biggest natural disaster that ever happened in the United States that killed the most people. You know what that was? No, it happened in 1900. It was a hurricane that came in and wiped out everybody on Galveston Island. The whole Galveston Island.
Yeah,
It just came and swept over, and there was nothing.
the big flood,
The
yeah.
big flood is a hurricane that came through, and the people that couldn't they didn't evacuate. They said, "Nah, we'll ride the storm out, no big deal." And it just, the big storm surge washed over. And there's only a few buildings, and you can see, if you ever go to Galveston, you can see the big stone buildings that are still there that made it, but everything else was gone. It was just wiped clean. And it was over 6,000 people killed with that.
Were there any survivors?
Yeah, there were some, but I think, nobody that was on the island survived. And they found them, their bodies just floating, and that's how they did rescue them. And because they drowned. I mean, it was just like, boom, the big wave hit them. You know, it'd be like a tsunami coming over and just washing over them and then gone.
Like when it just disappears, everything else just like disappears.
That's right.
So what about the
Has
question?
anybody lost at sea?
Oh, I'm sure there were so many
Yeah,
people that
I
never
think-
recovered.
Did you?
So
I wasn't there then, I wasn't
So talk about why you chose this topic.
yeah.
Because there were 2 reasons. Let's not, what were they?
We were looking for a major turning point in history,
Mhm.
and my sister, she had this packet on the Red Cross. I was looking through it, and I'm like, Red Cross would be a really good major turning point in history, because, well, I mean, it gave so many relief to different people, like what happened in the U.S., and then now different countries have their own Red Cross, like Red
That's
Cross, where they helped with Haiti, and then they helped for Japan.
What about the medical side of it
The
and the social side? Remember the 2 sides?
The medical side, I mean, they would provide relief, and they would do, like, if someone was hurt, they would give them what
So do
they
you
needed.
have doctors associated to Red Cross? I think,
Absolutely, and
Should
part
we
of
have-
it is with the blood part that Red Cross does, the blood supply, we have to have phlebotomists, which are doctors that are experts in blood and stuff. And so that part of it, the big part, a lot of nursing got started through Red Cross.
That's
The
right.
whole field of being a nurse and what a nurse was pretty much started by Red Cross. And they used to have a bunch of Red Cross nurses and stuff like that.
so connecting the social aspect to the medical aspect and just getting the help out there, right?
That's right, that's right.
Does Red Cross like help, like the American Red Cross help like other places, like countries?
Absolutely. With every single place in the world, Red Cross has been to help. There's not any place that we haven't been able to get into. And see, that's another thing. China does not allow other countries to come in and help because they're a very closed society. It's very difficult to get in and out of China. Well, when they had the big earthquake in China, they would not have let the Red Cross in if we had ever received money from the United States government. That is another reason why we don't receive money from the government, because then they can be assured that we're not influenced by the government. And we're just coming in there for relief to help other people. And so that's the only reason that the Chinese government allowed the Red Cross to come in, was because of that. We've been able to get into North Korea. And North Korea is not anybody, nobody gets into North Korea, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but they let us get in because the Red Cross comes in because they had some famine and stuff going on there, and the Red Cross came in and was able to give money, or give relief to the people there.
Is the American Red Cross the biggest Red Cross there is? Like the Red Cross?
I would think yes. It's here, next door, down the street, across the county,
No,
around the world.
That's why it's always that one Red Cross sign. It
That's
doesn't
right.
change.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And so there's no real challenge in maintaining that consistency.
And that's a
Or
big thing that
governance.
that's right, we've been working on. That's there. If you look at the Red Cross, there's 7 fundamental principles, and about it being impartial. And
This
go
is
to
the
our website. If you just go to redcross.org, redcross.org, you can see our fundamental principles. Okay, and they are humanitarian, independent, neutral. Those are some of those principles that were very important to us. You know, I have my own principles. Okay, I'm a Christian. Okay, I'm Republican. I'm a white male. I believe certain ways, but guess what? I can sit across from a black lady who's a Democrat, who's not a Christian, who's maybe Muslim or something like that, and we have totally different backgrounds. We believe totally different things on certain things, but guess what? We'll sit here and we'll work together to help that other person over here, and that's what drives it. Okay, to me, it doesn't matter what you believe, if you don't, aren't a Christian, or you are a Christian, or if you're a Democrat or Republican or Independent, or if you're this color or that color, or green, blue, whatever, it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. Those are the things, and it doesn't matter to me personally either. Okay, but I know that sometimes people go, well, we can't work with that group because they believe this way about certain things. So we better not work with that group because they believe this way, or they think this way about things. To me, I know what I believe, and this is what I believe, but that does not come into play when it's to help somebody else. When somebody's in need because they're starving, when somebody's in need because they're hurting, that's what takes precedence, and that's the important thing. And that's what I like about the Red. One of the big things I like about Red Cross is those other things do not get in the way, and they do not have any influence on who we help, how we help them, and when we help them.
So, I know this is kind of random, but why is it called the Red Cross?
I don't know. I think the symbol was because that was an international symbol of emergency help, and so we adopted that way back in the late 1800s. And that's an international symbol. That's where you can get medical help.
That was a medical symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's how we were able to get that. And next time I see you, all better be wearing one of these.
Yeah. So I
I
think,
got y'all one.
yeah, that's wonderful. Did we
Yeah,
get
there you go.
there?
Here.
Okay. Well, I think one more question. Did
Okay.
you have, I know this is last one probably, is do you have any other list of like the senior Red Cross associated volunteers, or who have evidence? I think they want to also interview someone who lived that era, potentially. Like someone who's, I know, would be probably very old, or relatives of Clara Barton that are potentially still around.
I don't know
accessible.
any. I could try to find out if there are some, but I mean, and I don't have on the paper. Claire Barton wasn't from Texas. The only time she visited Texas, or 2 times, was during the famine and during the disaster in Galveston. Other than that, she never was in Texas because it's a national thing.
Yeah, she was northeast
So,
side.
yeah. So I don't know of anybody personally like that.
But any other senior member in Texas who was active with Red Cross during like World War, certain
Well, my mom
Maybe we
is
don't
70.
need anyone from Texas.
My
Doesn't
mom
have
was
to
a
be
Red,
from-
Yeah,
my
it
mom was
doesn't-
a Red Cross nurse in
Oh,
the
okay.
military, and she's 73. And
So just going
I mean-
back and asking more of these questions and getting different perspectives with
yeah. I'll have to find the disaster relief part.
Yeah.
They were only doing it for people in war,
Army, yeah.
in the military.
during the war.
And she changed and adapted that. And so the Red Cross, the American Red Cross, is really the start of all the things that Red Cross does. And we're the biggest Red Cross in the world. We do the most in the whole world. Like that.
So is there like a certain time period where like a lot of volunteers wanted to help, or was it like?
I think probably the biggest push for the volunteers started in World War I, back in the early 1900s. The other were smaller pockets here and there, and that was really the biggest, or during a disaster, all of a sudden everybody was a Red Cross volunteer during the hurricane that came through, or a famine or something, where people would line up to help and things like that. Then you could help at a shelter or something like that, you could work and do those types of things. If we have a big disaster, maybe you could help pass out water bottles to people that drive, you know how they do the drive-through and stuff like that? Start a Red Cross Club at your school and all that. And so once you get all those things together, I will bring that material and I will come up to your school. I will meet with y'all, and it could be after school or something like that. Before school is real early, but if you want to do it before school, when you like 6 a.m. or something. How about after school, or maybe
Yeah,
during
after
lunch
school,
or
after
lunchtime? I could bring a pizza up there, and we could have pizza and talk about it.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to do that? I don't
We can
know.
bribe them, but
I
I
used
think
to do
they'll
that.
be really motivated to join, even though.
But it won't be just because of free pizza.
Yeah, no, but no.